Hello, welcome to the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show. We come to you live on Guyanese Critic Facebook page, on social media, Daybreak News, and on YouTube. If you're in front of your smart television or you have your smartphone in your hand, you can get us live. As Leonard Gildarie would say, my co-host, good morning, good evening, good day, wherever you are. Different time zones, we have to say that. We have two guests this evening that will be discussing an interesting yet sad topic. Our topic this evening is cancer, and Leonard Gildarie will do the introduction to our two guests. But first, my introductory remarks. Something happened over the weekend that holds importance and have consequences for free speech, accountability, and all that kind of things that people speak about in the society. People are always berating the government that they must be accountable, that they must be transparent, that they must respect people's dignity, the right to free speech, etc. But then something happened over the weekend that I thought it's exigent that we bring it to you, and I don't think this evening will be the end of the matter. It has to do with Mr. Glendale and Kaiecho News. On Sunday, I did not see my column, and that was strange. The editor, whoever they are, from the time the paper start, if I'm somewhere else and they don't see the column, they would call and said, you haven't sent in your column. So it was quite surprising that on Sunday I didn't see the column in the printed paper or the online edition. So I made some inquiries and found out that Mr. Lal had pulled the column. The column was a theoretical, a very scholarly examination of whether apartheid against Africans exists in Guyana. And so there was nothing personal, it was just a sociological analysis with reference to philosophy. So I was quite surprised to hear that Mr. Lal rejected the column. I would like to think Mr. Lal would have consulted his three close associates, Mr. G.H.K. Lal, Dr. Yog Mahadio, and Christopher Ram. Now, I don't want any libel, so I am not saying that they were part of the decision, but I know they're very close to Mr. Lal and they advise him. Here is the part of the article that Mr. Lal did not like and rejected it. As I read it out, I'm asking you to listen carefully because I'm going to read slowly and see the trouble we're in Guyana with tolerance. What I'm about to read is what even a 10-year-old hear every day in Guyana. Anyway, the Guyana Times printed the column as a column, as you can see it here. It's titled, Rejection of Creeping Apartheid in Guyana, Theoretical Basis by Freddie Kissoon. And then the Chronicle carried it as a column with my photograph. Theoretical rejection of creeping apartheid in Guyana. Now for my guest here, for all of those thousands of people who are looking, here are the words that Mr. Lal didn't like, and I'm not saying his three advisors concur with him. I don't know. Here we go. In Guyana, it is not only that apartheid does not exist, but there can be room for a provocative argument that East Indians lack sociological and state power, therefore they are most likely to suffer discrimination, police victimization, and social denial. In Guyana, the coercive state apparatus is 95% African dominated. State bureaucracy and its related organs are 95% African dominated. The education system has a predominance of African teachers, in particular regions 4, 5, and 9, and 10. In regions 2, 3, and 6, there is no overwhelming numbers of Indian teachers. In tertiary education, the African presence is graphic. Guyana has only one state-owned university, and for the past 30 years, it has been controlled by a small cabal whose hegemony is impossible to dissolve. The university, started by Indian Premier Chedi Jagan in 1963, has never had an Indian vice-chancellor. Simply put, in its 60-year-old history, there's never been an Indian head of QG. In medical services, there is no Indian predominance in doctors, nurses, and auxiliary staff. In the legal community, there are no alarming numbers of African lawyers, comparatively speaking. The African and Indians are just about equal in the judiciary and the magistracy. In sports, Indians are not represented in basketball, hockey, and soccer. In cricket, there is a marked presence of African players. In the entertainment business, this is an area in which Africans are pronounced. This leaves us with the economy. The number of wealthy entrepreneurs far outstrips their African counterparts, but it is vulgarization of academia to argue that this constitutes an apartheid system. An overwhelming presence of Indians in the investment sector cannot constitute an apartheid system. In Guyana, poverty is equally pronounced among both major races. My wife and I went to 2 Muslim orphanages to make donations. None of the children were Africans. My point was that using these statistics and this sociological description, you cannot come up with a description in Guyana of apartheid against Africans. Now, all the things that I've written here are quite obvious to anybody: the police force, UG, the public service. Well, let me end and get to Leonard Gildarie by saying this. When you criticize the government and you know example, the government will never, never listen to you. If you want the government to be accountable, to respect rights, to respect dignity, you also have to respect people's rights and people's expression. We'll have more to say about this. But over to Leonard Gildarie and the topic of cancer and our 2 interesting guests.
That's a very interesting revelation there, Freddie Kissoon. And before I head straight into what we hear tonight, with all due respect to the guests, when I was there working with Kaiser News, I was told that the buck stops at the publisher, and the publisher of the day would have been Glenn Lal. And so if he believes, and he believes that what you've written does not meet the necessary standards, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, then he has the right to throw it out. The thing is, have you tried to engage him? Because I know you would have been there almost 30 years, so you're a part of the foundation of that place. If that has not been the case, then you should. And if you believe that you're not getting the necessary satisfaction, well, I presume some decisions would have to be made. But I know that what I was told, that if you're the owner of a newspaper or any media house, that the buck stops at the publisher or whoever's the owner for that place, in case of if it does not meet what they believe in. I just want to say that. But I may want to ask you if you've engaged Mr. Lal in that.
Well, I thought it was an affront, an insult, that I've been a columnist so long, and that column is quite, over the past 26 years I've been at Kaiser, quite looked forward to by people, thousands of people in and out of Guyana, that it would be unthinkable to drop a column without calling me or without engaging me. And I just didn't know. The next day I always have extra column. The thing about the buck stop at the publisher, I would hope you know the publisher should have the intellectual capacity to look at something in journalism and determine whether it meets the standard. I would like to think publishers would have that kind of capacity. Not that I'm making any statement about Mr. Lal, but I do not think your statement that the buck stops at the publisher. It has to stop at the publisher, with the publisher doing the necessary consultations. that always happen in the newspaper. I don't think in the newspaper a publisher would see something and say, "Me no wonder, throw it out."
Well, I don't know that happens, but what I would have done in the case, if I'm uncomfortable with the article or piece that you would have submitted, I'd pick up the phone and say, Freddie Kissoon, could you give me an alternative piece? And let's sort that out.
was
If that
never
was
done.
not done. Well, let's move on. We have two guests here today. In the 90s, my grandfather, ladies and gentlemen, died, and that was something that had a very profound effect on me. He was, yes, getting on in age, about 70, and prostate cancer. And I saw suffering in unbelievable. The screams, I think, still ringing in my ears. A neighbor in Grove that I grew up with married a girl and breast cancer. I don't want to, of course, identify her, but and I saw the suffering and the amount of finances that it took that family. It literally split them apart. When the teenagers were in school, they were overseas trying to get treatment. But it has a very, very profound impact on families of victims and the loved ones. Whenever you have people suffering from cancer, and there's so many kinds, breast cancer. We have two people in the studio here this evening who's been doing some work over the past couple of years. I would have seen Bibi Hassan, and she's the president and the founder of the Guyana Cancer Foundation. And we also have a very enigmatic, charismatic individual here, Nkosi Jupiter. I'm hoping I get the pronunciation right. Medical student at the University of Guyana, and he's presently doing his rotation at Georgetown Public Hospital. Also, he's the assistant coordinator at the Guyana Cancer Foundation. If you've been on social media, you know that Ms. Bibi has been very much in your face, kind of, with regards to bringing awareness to cancer in Guyana. But we have foundations and we have foundations. What are we doing about helping our government? And the reason why we bought the Guyana Cancer Foundation here today also is not only to bring cancer awareness. You know that the government cannot do everything by themselves. There is a big need for the foundations, friendly societies, NDCs to play their role too. They all have to be very strong, and they have to have structures to build this country and accountability and so on. But what do we know about cancer in Guyana? Bibi Hassan, welcome, president and founder of the Guyana Cancer Foundation. Of course, Mr. Nkosi Jupiter, thank you very much, sir, for coming to our program. Let's start with Bibi first. Is there something we should be worried about in Guyana?
Yes, very much so. Cancer, you have the different type of cancer. Actually, cancer has like 25 ribbons. You got liver, lung, breast, ovarian, and cervical cancer. You got a whole lot of other cancers, but the main cancer in Guyana is breast, cervical, then prostate, and then you have childhood cancer.
What is the Guyana Cancer Foundation? What exactly does it do?
We provide help to the low income, underinsured, and the medically underserved persons in Guyana across the 10 regions. They normally reach out to me on our Facebook page, or they call the number, and we tried to the best of my ability to help them. Some people wanted to get scans. Some people got to do radiation. I will normally help with a percentage of that. I also do counseling every Wednesday from 3 p.m. We have a psychologist from Uruguay. She comes and do counseling with our cancer patient.
We can talk about counseling in a short while. I know Freddie Kissoon, a few months back when we started this program, and I think I was out of the country, you would have bought some one of the experts or somebody who would have been involved in the field of cancer in Guyana. And I know that you have a lot of questions because as we get older, things about health start to dominate our minds. And so, Freddie, I know you have a lot of questions. So over to you.
Yeah, we had Dr. Goodwin. I really can't remember if she's the head of the cancer unit.
No, she's not.
But she works there. and she was quite enlightening about the work that the hospital uh, does, the Joshua Hospital. I will never forget a part of that interview in which she told me that the Joshua Hospital provides a drug to its patient freely that costs around $40,000. And I thought that was very commendable. We always knocking the Joshua Hospital, but that was very commendable. Uh, Cancer is a very, very sad situation. My question to either one is the Georgetown Hospital coping? And if yes, what are the numbers, if you have those numbers?
Mr. Jupiter?
So the Georgetown Public Hospital is, well, the country known hospital, and that hospital sees patients across Guyana. And over with statistics, we are coping, right? But it could be better. The actual amount of persons that, would have had cancer would be 1/5 of the entire population, because we had an increased rise in both breast cancer, prostate cancer, cervical cancer, and of lately lung cancer. So there are measures put in place to help persons.
Did you say 1/5 of our population in Guyana has
That's
cancer?
very high. Yeah?
Are we
No,
talking about-
sorry.
Oh,
Let me rephrase
yes,
that.
sorry.
It's not 1/5 of the population. It's 1/9 of the population.
Oh, I
Yeah.
was.
No, but even 1/9.
I was,
You know
I
what you're
was
talking about
alarmed
there?
because
Are you talking?
I know it couldn't be
What-
1/5. That
what
was
would have happened?
slip of the
recently?
tongue.
Yes, it's a slip of the tongue. It's 1/9. So the statistics had shown that in 2012, right, it was much lower. But these are persons that would not have been tested, and with constant advocacy to get tested, or because early detection would save life. So persons are able to catch cancer within the early stage, right? So they are treated and they could go about living their normal lives. So that is why it was so high of recent.
Before we come to actual figures, very quickly back, 1/9. We have what,
Do your
700,000?
calculator,
Are we talking about
760.
80,000 people, 90,000 people in Guyana?
1/9 of 760 would be what?
Let's say 80 90,000 people. I'm just
Would be 80, 90?
90,000.
1/9 of
Just-
760,000?
Roughly around 60 something thousand.
Are we serious?
Yes.
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 No, let's
For
stop.
a small town.
I would have to jump in
can
right
you go-
here. What are the biggest? Breast awareness.
Breast.
Breast cancer would be
Yes.
one.
Breast is the number one.
Prostate. What comes after that?
Cervical and then prostate.
And then of recent, lung cancer.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start with the prostate.
About 60,000.
The prostate, out of the number of cancer patients, do we have the kind of figures or suggest?
I do not have the figures that would suggest how much for prostate, right? But what I can tell you is that, there's this a stigma with men when they have to go to the hospital to get tested. And you see, because we have the stereotype of how we grew up, men are strong, we're good figures, we don't get sick, and they're afraid to go and get tested, especially because of the procedure that they think that they may have to go through to get tested, which in reality is no longer there. Most persons are afraid of the physical prostate exam, and for the persons that don't know what that entails, right, the doctors will normally check the prostate manually, which means that they have to enter through the anus. However, right, there are other methods that can be used and can be done. So persons were afraid initially to go to the hospital because of that
Yes,
specific procedure. So the actual figures of how the actual breakdown, we don't have that. We just have a general statistic. But, right, I would encourage more men to go and get tested. There are a lot of different techniques that can be used except that. So men, get tested.
I'm afraid to ask, but Freddie, you understand some of the scenarios that play out. The scientists in me would say, if tested, are finding about 60%, 60,000 people in Guyana with cancer. You could also make some conclusion that there's a bunch of people walking around out there who have cancer and they don't know about
And they
it.
don't know, correct.
Well, I would hope it's less than 60,000 because
That is my
I would hope it's less than because given our economy, we just had a budget that I endorse, and I think that budget is going in the right direction. But we don't have with oil and more oil. We do not have the capacity to treat those kind of numbers effectively, simply because of our economy, simply because of the state of modern medicine in Guyana. I mean, when people have cancer and they could afford it, they normally go out. I read that Angelique Bihari, I read in the paper she had cancer and
Double
those,
mastectomy. She had a double mastectomy.
those people go out. My concern is although the Georgetown Hospital tried, although we have a fantastic budget that was just released last week, I think 60,000 is a sad figure.
It's a sad figure. I think that's hugely alarming, and I tell you why. I saw somebody, and it's
The
never
rich,
going to
the
be a
rich.
cheap thing to have an ailment. I saw people who travel with kidney problems, and they had to do transfusion. And if you're doing transfusion, I know some men said, "Look, I prefer to die than to put my family through this." I know of people who told stories about
It's
that
true.
because they said instead, I think how much is it, about $7,000 per treatment, or even more than that.
Right.
And they got
12,000,
12,000.
12,000.
For
And
what?
imagine
For
blood
what?
transfusion.
And sometimes
And you gotta
some
do it for
places
3-4 weeks times a
15,000.
week.
15,000.
Let us talk about the Cancer Foundation. Why is Why would organization like the foundation be important to a developing country like Guyana?
It's an NGO, a non-profit organization, and we try to help persons, especially the low income, medically underserved, and the underinsured persons. We really try to help them in terms of getting them go to the right doctors. A lot of them call me personally they don't know which doctor to go. So my first thing to them is the Georgetown Public Hospital, the oncology department, where I would do referrals to Dr. Husto, who is the head of that department. I deal with him. And if they want to go to a private doctor, well, our co-founder just died on the 12th.
Oh my.
Yeah. So he
Who's
was
that? Who's that?
Dr. Ravindranath Inshlangat, Dr. Ravi then, for short. So he was a gynecologist and also oncologist, and he used to look after these patients free of cost
Oh, my.
sometimes,
Condolences.
and may God bless his soul. He was really a good person. Sometimes I say, Doc, that they don't have this money. He said, Bibi, don't worry with money. Let them come. I will look after them. And he would spend a lot of time with them and show them out everything and stuff like that. So I would say he really played a major role in my organization, and not only for my organization, for the people of Guyana. We went a lot of places across. We went into Raruni River. There's a Barbies River in 2017.
Rooney.
Yes, I went all there and do outreach
you ever
into
heard about
cervical
Rooney?
cancer. Cervical cancer. I went in the Pomeroon River. I went Linden. I never went. I went to Bartica. We went Barbies.
With the medical team.
Went Rockstone. We went this place up the. It was what do you call this place? You went with us when you had Dr. Jason. Past. It was far. What place?
Marudi?
Marudi.
Mabura. Mabura. and-
Mabura.
Yes,
Oh.
Mabura.
All there we work.
Yes.
Okay, well, but if we talk about the foundation, now this thing is not cheap by any means. If you're given some kind of help, what is somebody who believes that they have a problem, that they're manifesting something, and you don't know where to turn to? You could call the foundation.
Yeah.
And let us talk about how do you get onto the foundation first.
They can call 624-3121. That is on our Facebook page. And you have 618-2085. We also have our email address, Guyana Cancer Foundation at gmail.com. And you can also go on our website, which is www.guyanacf.com, and you can get me on Instagram, LinkedIn. Facebook is our biggest page, and people just normally message us on our Facebook page. So we try as much to help these people in terms of getting help. Some people will call for Pampers. I have that. I have extra large, large, and medium.
Very good. I have some more questions, Freddie.
Well, when Dr. Goodwin was here,
Gooding.
when Dr.
Yeah.
Goodwin was here, and she shared a platform with a nutritionist that worked at the Joshua Hospital, and they had emphasized that part of the fight against the oncoming of cancer is your diet. And you know what I want to believe? I want to believe that when our economy opened up the past 10 years, our traditional diet was deprioritized. If you go into any supermarket, and I wish, we may have to invite Dr. Goodin back here and invite you guys back here. The question of your diet, if you go into those supermarkets, we are flooded with imported food that are chemically treated.
Correct.
A lot of those sausages and those meat have sodium nitrite.
Correct.
Sodium nitrite is a cancer-causing thing.
Yes.
And you should see the profusion of hot dogs, and burger meat that are in all supermarkets. Do you know in the supermarkets there's a part of the freezer with imported chicken and imported meat that are chemically treated?
Yes.
And I find it incredible that somebody would buy coolant for their car in a tropical country, antifreeze coolant. It's a contradiction. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. Because we are tropical, we will never get below zero. And I find it incredible that somebody would go and buy a steak that is imported than a local steak, because all meat, pork, chicken, beef, are chemically treated in the foreign countries.
Maybe it's a lack of education. People don't know. I think it's a lot of that. That has to be one of the big reasons. Because if you know it's bad, it is always going to be an issue. But Freddie, a lot of people, and I believe this is me, talking to people who would have been sick, and even those who are not sick, you have an issue. People are afraid to go to the hospital. One, they don't want to go to the Georgetown Hospital because they don't know the services that are there.
Yes.
And two, Georgetown Hospital has a reputation, and I'm hoping that they could start doing some good PR and changing some of the guards at the gate, so we could have like more customer-friendly kind of atmosphere. They need to do that, whether we like it or not.
No,
There's
nurses
not an
and
attack.
doctors too.
There's not
I've
an
written
attack,
several
right.
columns about
Yeah.
their attitude.
But a lot
Nurses
of people,
and doctors.
Freddie, don't go to the hospital because one, they are also fearful that there's a cost attached to that, and that maybe the public hospitals are not going to give them what they want, so they allow the situation to fester. By the time they catch themselves, it is stage 4.
Correct.
And that is a big issue that we're facing with. What are some of your experiences?
Actually, a lot of persons just come when it's stage 4, and you really can't do nothing much. But what I try to do is get them to see the same doctor that died, and he would work out a plan with them, like for injections. Most times when you're at stage 4, you get a lot of pain, you're vomiting. So what they normally do, like in terms of pain management, they do give them this morphine injection to ease the pain. And to get that at home, You have to go through the police force, Ministry of Health.
What do you mean get it at home?
If the person is at home and can't come to the hospital, like bedridden, right? It's a lot of things because I remember when we had our clinic at our first clinic at Mercy Hospital in 2017, the same doctor, and there were patients that had to get the same injection at home. They can't come to the hospital because they're bedridden. You had to go through the police force, Ministry of Health, and somewhere else you had to go.
How can that
I'm
make...
getting
Yeah.
No, that doesn't...
Yes. You gotta get
Please
authorized.
explain that to me. Frederick Smith is a patient of Dr. Singh. Frederick Smith been treated by Dr. Singh. Then Frederick Smith cannot go to the hospital. Dr. Singh wouldn't take the same... Dr. Singh can't take the same injection and go to Durban Street where his patient is and give him a morphine injection?
No, morphine injection is they're saying that you have to get authorization.
permission.
Yes, she knows.
I know it's a strong drug. It's a
Yeah,
very...
no, but you have to
it's
get
the
it.
most
Addictive.
effective...
Well, I won't be
Addictive
asking that
drug.
question. What I am even amazed is that we have some services where the government or the doctors, the public doctors, could come to a person whom I think a lot of people don't even know that. So I think we need to start educating. If I don't know that, I didn't even know that they had that existing in Guyana. I always thought that if you wanted service, that you have to take yourself there. And I know, of course, people are bedridden, but I didn't even know that you could have had people come to your house and administer those things, except if it's private doctors and so on. But I think what is also has me a little blown away too is that people are actually coming to the foundation when you reach a stage 4. So what happened to the time before? What have you found? What has been the findings? Have you asked them? So how did you find this thing so late?
Well, they always say they never know until they went to the doctor last.
Last week.
That's always be it.
You see, most persons have a culture of waiting till they're sick or bedridden or vomiting blood. They're vomiting all the time, but as soon as they see some amount of
Or
blood
they get discharged.
or discharge, right, to go and see the doctor. Persons don't practice casual checkups like you go to your doctor every 6 months, every 3 months, every yearly checkup. So because of that, right, the cancer is detected in its late stage, and the only thing that is left to do, as Ms. Bibi will mention, we call it palliative care,
Yes.
right, where we
Make it
can
comfortable as
make it
possible.
comfortable as possible for
Until
that
it ends.
patient. Yes.
It's very hard to talk these words.
That is why we echo early detection
Can help save
saves
lives.
lives.
But what I can't get also, before Freddie, I know you want to jump in.
No, it's okay.
Right. What I can't get is that somebody's calling a foundation and the government system has not been geared to really give the kind of awareness to the people. Say, look, we have this, that. The government has put so much money there, and we, if you can't afford, or early detection. A lot of people don't do the yearly checkup because they believe it's a lot of money at the private thing.
Yeah.
If you want to do your yearly
So-
checkup, could you go to the public
So Guyana
hospital?
Cancer Foundation over the years has been offering free mammogram and sonogram. We normally do this in the first week in October, and we run the program until like February, January. I just finished the October program for breast cancer awareness with Dr. Balwan Singh's hospital. I've been using them since 2019 because I think they have one of the most sophisticated machine in Guyana. The reading is really good, and I'm also doing right now. The foundation is doing cervical cancer screening with them right now. We're doing free cervical cancer. Guyana Cancer Foundation is paying for 50 women to get screened at Balwan Singh Hospital. We started when Friday or Thursday we start doing that.
Last Thursday.
And this month is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month.
I want to get back to the Georgetown Hospital. I went to the Georgetown Hospital because my knee, I couldn't walk. My knees were paining me. And I think the problem with the Georgetown Hospital is the sheer numbers that flood the hospital. And when you have that, there is a number of spin-off. It's like It's like the
You're dealing with numbers.
when I sat down there and I waited, I must say, two doctors saw me, and they were quite good. I knew their professional reputation was high in Guyana, and I would say that I was saved thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars by those two men, Dr. Watson and Dr. Samaru, two
Dr.
orthopedic.
Samaru is a good doctor.
If I had to go, but I think the problem there is if the pain was too much, when you go in there and you see those numbers, you just feel that could I go to a private hospital and get quicker treatment? The problem to me with the Georgetown Hospital is the numbers. And if you could have, even though you have West Demerara and Diamond, maybe the level of people who cannot afford private medical hospital is so high that they flood the Georgetown Hospital. And you know what is wrong with that? What is wrong with numbers? Numbers have a number of consequences. The person who serves you get tired, get nervous. It's like police. When you go to police station, do you know how many people are in there? Somebody break down my house. Somebody thief my goat. Somebody slap
Domestic
right.
violence.
And it's so much, and it's two policemen in the station. And I think Georgetown Hospital has some positive dimensions about it. I've been told it has a really postmodern theater. When you go into that theater, right, it's very, very good. But the numbers seem to just depress people. When you go into that eye clinic,
It's got a lot of people.
that eye clinic, you're not coming out
I took my
till
mom.
another 5-6 hours.
Correct.
It's just the sheer numbers.
Well, we're back to the foundation now because what is mind blowing on some of the revelations that are coming out now, and I guess I never really paid much attention to it. My bad. Forgive me for that. But what you have is people are actually calling the foundations and maybe as a first stop immediately after they would have learned that something is wrong. I would like to see as we go forward as a country that you have so much money that you have to start plugging money. One, you need to start bringing awareness, more awareness to this. It could never be enough. And I know the foundation, I'm going to come very shortly, the foundation's been doing some work with awareness. It has to be that a lot of people converge in the Georgetown Public Hospital, but that's why we built the regional hospital like Diamond, and West Dem and so on, and you start equipping them more. But people don't know that they could go there and get a kind of level of care instead of just flooding the Georgetown Public Hospital. What we do happen to have away from if you go to the private hospital, some of the doctors who are in the private hospital are also in the Georgetown Hospital. So you could get that kind of care, but you have to ensure that you start being aware. And I think it's mind-blowing to me that people would actually call the foundation and we have a government in place, whichever government is in place. It has been improving, but it is opening the door for an argument to be made right now. Gotta take it to the next step very quickly. How does the foundation deal with money? Because obviously you guys...
We got like donations. We deal with donations all the time.
But we deal with a country
But,
with 700,000. What donations you gotta get to that?
Well, we have like GBTI Bank and some other places that give donation every year.
Well, it should increase because...
But I'm hoping that it can increase that so I can pay more for let me say radiation therapy. But with my budget, you only go to 100 US for towards radiation therapy. Now, radiation therapy in Guyana is very, very expensive. It starts with 600,000 up, and it can go in for 1.3 million to do one patient, right? Now, a lot of them just come to me and cry. No, I can't because of my foundation. I have to pay rent every month. I have to do the foundation got expense, but I try my best to help each patient that come to me. In terms of even getting them to do Counseling, every Wednesday we have counseling at the office, right? We have a psychologist that's come at 3 o'clock and she do counseling. She even do it online.
And she's unpaid.
Yes, it's on page. She's from
Volunteer.
Uruguay. Her husband is a economist with UN here, and since July she's been doing
But
therapy.
do you know the amount of since the opening up of the country with oil, etc., the deluge of businesses you have in this place. But apart from that, except for Isu Prasad, I know Isu Prasad donated a whole classroom to UG building
Yeah.
and to the house. You know the amount of liquid capital financial houses have here that they don't know what to do. Take, for example, insurance companies. And you would think that they would just buy a place for, for the Cancer Foundation.
Yeah, and I would love to have my own place, even right around the hospital. I hope the
Where is the
government-
Cancer Foundation?
Right opposite GPHC on East Street, 351 East Street.
And
North
and
Kingsburg.
you're paying a rent.
Yes, I'm paying a rent.
Just
100
for the
and
sake-
something thousand.
Just for the sake of argument, let's say you get about $10 million per month or whatever.
Wish.
How much of that goes to administrative? Because here you have to run a foundation. How much of that goes to administration, or how much of that actually putting into, because your focus has to be the patient's welfare.
Yeah,
And so
and
you
not,
try
we,
to do
we
as
don't
much as-
normally do even that. We go out in different communities. He can tell you every month. But just after our breast cancer awareness program that we had in October, I didn't do the last outreach I do in October. Was the second we went into St. Cuthbert's Mission. I had that thing
And what
for
are
the
you
teachers.
guys? What are you guys doing in those?
Well,
in
we
those
do
areas?
general. We do
Oh.
general. So if anybody got to get referrals for cancer, we refer them to the public hospital or to the
So
private
you have like
doctor.
you have a place, and then people come and you interview
Yeah.
them.
And
Bibi.
location. So, go ahead.
Who owns? I mean, how much do you think that building would cost if you were to buy it?
I don't know. I have to ask the
I mean, when
landlady.
you think of businesses in this country,
I wish
buying.
if I can get the same
But-
building to somebody can buy it.
But does it have to be that building or any building that you?
But you
I
want it to be
around,
near the
I
hospital.
want
Yeah,
it
yeah.
around to be. I always believe my NGO should be around the hospital, because the first place that I rented was Mercy Hospital, and I got it through Dr. Ravi because he was working there. He put up his credentials for I get an office there, and I had it for a whole year.
But maybe if someone is going to, if a group of businessmen are going to buy it and donate it to the,
Ghana Cancer Fund.
they would want to make sure that the Ghana Foundation is very legally sound and it has
Yeah, well, we have-
rotational leadership, etc. They wouldn't want, I mean, if I'm a businessman and I donated $10 million, I would want to make sure the leadership rotates, they have term limits, and you're not buying a building where somebody is going to be in charge of it for the next 10 years, 15 years. But with the kind of money you see people spend in this place, people putting
at
up
the
a building
vehicles,
for
look at the vehicles.
people putting up a building for 50 million US.
Yes.
I was like, what is wrong with donating a 12 million for a building for cancer? I think that is where Isu Prasad really
But no,
stood
but
out
they got people.
in
I
there.
happen to know a lot
There are
of people
business people
who.
who just could afford a 15 minutes, nothing.
It's not only in bigger countries that you see. I know people who died and left estates and bequeathed a lot of stuff for
Yeah.
foundations and
Correct.
so it happens in Guyana. They do it very quietly and never hear about it. And these are people who've been doing it over and over. I know stories about that. But I'm interested, is government giving you guys anything at all?
Well, I had met Irfan Ali in 2021, yes. And we had a meeting. It was myself, one of the executive member with the treasurer. We went to reach with him, and he had promised to give us $1.5 million every year. It was to go through the Ministry of Health, because he had all of them taking notes. Was a whole lot of them came to the meeting. And up to now, I've never get that money. And that money,
But did you follow up on it?
I follow up. You know how many times I sent, the Dr. Irfan secretary told me that the letter, the president put a footnote to the health minister, and up to now, when I asked him, he said he don't get the emails. He came to my walk, the breast cancer awareness walk, the morning, because the president was supposed to come, and the president couldn't come, so he sent him. So I said, but how come you don't get these emails?
You have a very strict permanent secretary, Mr. Malcolm Watkins. I think you should reach out to him because he's very strict about those things. So if the president given instructions, and if the president has made a note and pass it on and they don't carry it out, it means that some people who are doing things contrary to what the president is saying.
Well, let's emphasize that on this program here. And let's emphasize this now.
And that screening...
The president promised 1.5 million.
every
there's a
year
promise.
from
It's an order.
2021, March 2021. I think it was the 10th of
All
March.
right, let's go slowly, because Gildarie and I could take this up. What was the next step? He told you to go to whom?
No, the meeting was with Mr. Dr. Frank Anthony. You had Mr. Todd was there too, right?
Foreign
you had,
Minister?
Oh, and Mr. Ramsamy was there too. And Mr.
Mr.
Ramsamy told them that he know me a long time through Avon Community Health. And I was a treasurer on that thing. That's since 2005. I became a cancer advocate through Avon Community Health Fund, right? So since then, so March will be 18 years since I'm a cancer advocate in Guyana.
So where this money got lost? Not the
I don't
money.
know.
Where this pledge got lost?
I don't know.
Freddie Kissoon, you understand what Bibi has just said? The president is sitting there with
As a
the
whole
health
team.
minister.
Whole team.
If the president has given an order, the president is not the president's job to see that it's carried
Correct.
through. I presume if I've been this is a
No,
president.
but it
of
has
the
to.
other-
No, but it has to come when the president goes to Monrepo and say, the government will fund that section of that place that is falling down. It comes through a ministry, and that ministry has to provide for it in their budget. This 1.5 million has to come through a ministry. That ministry has to be held.
Ministry of
That
Health.
ministry has to be held.
Yeah.
Now, why isn't the Ministry of Health?
Every time I call them, they're gonna get on to me. They're gonna get.
I'm
on
going to
to
call
me.
Malcolm Watkins. I know
You know,
Malcolm was
I'm
my
here now.
student. I'm going to call
I
him.
don't even know how to find that email, retrieve back that email. But I've tired sending email.
I don't understand that the president gave an order.
Yeah, it was a whole thing, and Mr. Leslie Ramsamy was right there.
If you had that money, what would it have helped?
Oh,
to
you know
do?
who was there too? Dr. Ashley Singh too was there too.
Well, the biggest names in health and some of the biggest names
And
in
this
power
money,
were
listen
there.
to me, this money wasn't coming to me. It was to open an account at Dr. Balwan Singh Hospital to help with breast cancer screening. They wanted us to do the Guyana.
And that's
like
per
the-
year.
Yes, yeah. And so they're saying that the other money, I could put it to other screening then.
If I could remember, am I correct, Mr. Jupiter, that every year there is Pinktober?
Yes.
Every year in the month
GT&T,
of
yeah.
That was
October.
GT.
That's GT.
That a whole bunch of government people and everybody who feels nice walk and they hug up one another and they walk down Main Street and everybody wear pink. And you mean for telling me there's a bare face? Freddie Kissoon, let me tag this thing again. There's some bare face to hug up the people and walk with the people and don't help a foundation which is doing part of the work, which is integral to the part of the society, developing society, and you turn your back on them?
You know what I think, honestly? I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think one of the problems that I encountered as soon as I entered university studying third world politics is the bureaucracy. Third world countries like Guyana could fly to the moon and be on par with the developed countries. They just have to straighten up their bureaucracy. It is not, I understand it is now stopped, that when you enter the public service, you get paid 3 months after. When I entered UG as a lecturer, okay, I got my first salary 4 months after.
Wow.
4 months after. There is something, it's either mysterious, it's either evil, somewhat. There's something evil, mysterious about the way bureaucracy works in third world countries. No, my frustration with Guyana is the smallness of the population. One village in China got about 10 million people. A whole country got 760,000 people. Yet, somebody enters a ministry to work and get paid 4 months after. You know what is it? You know what it is. Any government, PNC, PVP, to sell the government maybe 10,000 cartons of water. When you can get paid?
Freddie Kissoon, I listen to what you say there, and while people talk about bureaucracy, if you happen to know, I'm familiar with procurement. My company does some of that. Freddie Kissoon, when things want to be done in government, it can be done.
Correct.
You understand? If you want to go down on the road and the minister needs to put an order there, it can be done in a jiffy. The president would call somebody. The president went somewhere the other day, and it's on video.
I saw.
And 2 policemen sleeping in a jeep. And the president was talking to the people, and he said, "Where are the 2 people sleeping in the jeep? You come here with me and these things, and you sleeping in the jeep." Now, the president is going to give an order, and they have to carry it out. It would be unthinkable that you're not going to carry out that order. The president gave an order. You mean for tell me a foundation that every September coming up or October coming up in the next couple months, next 9 months, 8 months. I mean for tell me the people don't get the money.
I hope this program.
Are we serious?
This
I
program
hope so,
goes
because
some way in
I
you getting your
begging.
it's 1.5 every year.
Emails, plenty emails. I said.
Look, it's 1.5. You promise every year?
Yes, and this was to pay not to me, to the Dr. Balwant Singh Hospital to help with breast cancer screening.
You can't blame the president for that. You can't blame
Not me,
bureaucracy
no.
too much, as if you have the will. And I mean, look, the government, I've started it by saying the government is always going to be the one pushing the policies. They have to, that's their job. The foundations and the NDCs and all of those have to play the supporting role. Central government has to play the supporting role. And if they don't do the job, it's because they don't have the will. Yet you go to countries and you see things happening, garbage being picked up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Not the garbage companies being there at 8 o'clock and blocking up traffic. We can start thinking out of the box. That being the case, I hope that the program would definitely
I hope
push it,
so too.
and you have something that is gonna
It's
be.
not coming to me. It was going to open an account at Dr. Balwant Singh. They asked me how much I just pay with the screen, and I told them how much per year screening I do.
Is there any similar foundation or organization to the Guyana Cancer Foundation that helps people, like if you have a problem with the kidney and so, that gives you the kind of help
You
similar
got
to what you're
Guyana
doing?
Kidney. You got Guyana Kidney Foundation. I don't know how many
But
things
it's
they
not
do.
as vibrant.
No. Well, I should think my own is a very vibrant organization.
And Nkosi has been very silent.
Yes, I'm sorry. We
Yes,
dominated.
And so here what I want to just say that last year March we are officially licensed member for American Cancer Society in Guyana.
What does that mean to the man on the street who wants some help? What does that mean?
Who wants some help
Yes, they found out that they get it. How does you
for
benefit?
cancer?
Yeah,
For cancer?
you have help coming to them, to you.
Well, as I told you, they can get help if they have to get radiation therapy. If they have to get scans, I will help pay for that. But if I get more money, I can up the figure.
Thank you very much.
You don't have any problem meeting your rent, or is it?
No. I make sure the rent pay, and then you have to pay. I make sure that pay every month.
Then Nkosi, you're a second year medical student,
Third year.
third year, and you're doing your what you call
Clinical rotation.
Rotations at GPHC.
how long that will last, and then you go back to UG to complete your 2 years.
Well, the clinical rotation is a part of the amount of years, so that will be finished in approximately 1 year, 10 months. 1 year, 10 months.
Okay, what area you want to specialize in when
So after growing up, I always wanted to be a pediatrician, pediatric surgeon to be specific. And then after seeing the demand for different fields within Ghana, the truth is, right, that my specialty that I may want for myself, I'm not too sure as yet. However, I've thought about oncology, I've talked about emergency medicine, and now I'm kind of slightly getting to like psychiatry because I'm currently within that rotation. And one of the things that I wanted to mention earlier before it got away is that remember we spoke about, the hospital always being flooded and they have high numbers. A lot of people don't know that the local health centers in their villages
Yes.
are just as equipped to help persons in different situations. And if they cannot help you, then they will refer you to either the Georgetown Public Hospital
regional.
or
Or
the
the
regional
regional.
hospital. Specifically regional, and then from the regional, then to GPHC.
No, but
So,
people use those health clinics because I pass through Sandy Bar Kitty
Yes.
often, and they have a health clinic there. It's
maybe
always flooded.
Kitty Health Center, then Campbellville Health Center.
I
But
pass there often. It's
Echoes got
also,
one too.
Echoes have one. There's one in Buxton. We have over
They have
the
them
river,
all over the
Denams,
country.
all over the country. But the thing is, people bypass the health
No, they
centers.
gotta start using these things. They're paying
Exactly.
people, and people just sitting
Correct.
twiddling their thumbs. And we need to bring awareness to the people too, Freddie, as we've been wasting too much of time. But I think we almost maybe very quickly, as a young person who's dealing with something so traumatic as cancer, I think it has a lot of impact. How has that worked out for you?
So
You've seen victim or people who are suffering.
I've seen persons with in their final stage. Like I recall, my first experience was actually at a health center. An older lady came in with stage 4 breast cancer, and she did not know that she had breast cancer only about 3 weeks ago, which was in the end stage. And to see the family members so distraught, it was heartbreaking. And I've also seen persons that would have, tested for cancer, positive for cancer, and they caught it within their early stages, stage 1, and they were able to seek treatment, and also live a normal life. I've also seen persons that would have gotten cancer, got rid of cancer, and the cancer came back, right? And even though some of them may not be successful with getting rid of cancer again, there are other persons that were successful. So I think that my scope in the area has been wholesome, and specifically Guyanese people, they have a mentality with, oh, bush can walk, or I can drink to this, drink that. I'm not saying that herbal medicine is bad, right? However, you need to seek professional help because there's only so much that can work for you. So once they're tested, all right, I believe the early detection can save their lives.
And Kosi, I would encourage you to pursue psychiatry because we have this mistaken belief that depression and psychotic problems are in large industrial society. But in poverty-stricken countries, in countries that are very poor, just the level of denial, the thing of you can't bring up your children, it causes great depression.
Yes,
and
it does.
people, I grew up in Waterville. You know what it's like to be 10 years and you don't have any food. When you reach 22, you become depressed. And we don't really have, I would think we have our quota of pediatrician, our quota of orthopedic surgeon, but you could count in your hand
The amount of psychiatrists.
I'm not talking of people who do a 2-year thing. I'm talking about a fully trained psychiatrist.
So currently,
You'll have to go out
I
after that.
am in my doing psychiatry rotation, and what I realize is that we have a stigma in Ghana talk well, straight a bit to mental health. And there are persons that actually flood the psychiatry clinic because they realize that they need
have a
help
problem.
and they have a problem, and that is the first step. So within the psychiatry clinic, right, they deal with a lot of disorder, personality disorders, and people don't even know that they have these disorders until they come to the clinic, and they can seek professional help and help to live a normal life. Persons lose their job to different psychiatric problems. However, all right, within our psychiatric clinic, all right, once the persons are willing, right? And it's not a stigma that the psych clinic is just a lot of mad people or people going crazy. The smallest thing, as you mentioned, depression, can be treated.
Thank you.
Our operator signaled that our time has come, so a few
Quick.
seconds, Leonard.
Yes, absolutely. So, a couple of things that comes out here, and before we go, we want to say welcome to our very own Letitia, who's in Guyana, or Candle Lady. I hope that you're having a good time, and it's good to see that you've been so real. I'm impressed. So I hope that you are taking in the sights, and if possible, drop in and let's have a chat. Freddie and I promise we don't need any psychiatrists for that. And of course, 160 bikes seized by the police on the seawall had me sitting up and take notice there. Maybe you'd want to make a very quick pitch about the Guyana
Yeah, a couple
Cancer
of seconds.
Foundation. Maybe tell the people and use our regional and health clinics. So.
We have a vibrant survivors club, and I'm asking cancer patients they can join us, our club. You can call me at 618-2085 and 624-3121, and we are having our World Cancer Day candlelight vigil on the 4th of February, which is World Cancer Day across the globe, and we'll be celebrating it.
Okay, well, thanks for being here. For those of you, we gotta go now. My Sunday column that was ejected by the Kaicho News, you can get it in today's Chronicle and today's Guyana.
Never thought I
Times.
would see the day that you would hold it up so proudly.
It's an argument that there isn't a creeping apartheid in Guyana. In case you want to get it and put it on Facebook, my email address is quite simple. fredkissoon@yahoo.com. FREDKISSOON@yahoo.com. My cell is 614-5927. We'll be back here, same time, same place on Wednesday. On behalf of our two guests and my co-host, Leonard Gildarie, bye-bye and have a pleasant Tuesday until we see you on Wednesday. Thanks for watching.